Tonight, the funerals begin for victims of the Joplin tornado as relatives of the missing cling to hope.
So she went to go get pizza and she never came home.
I'm Harry Smith. Also tonight, the final moments of Flight 447. The flight recorders tell a horror story. An Air France jetliner plunging out of control for nearly 4 minutes before finally crashing in the Atlantic.
Tell him that Mitt Romney just said hi, all right?
And soon-to-be Republican candidate Mitt Romney hits the campaign trail in Iowa and says it's all about the economy.
This is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening. We end this week where we began, in Joplin, Missouri. 5 days after a massive tornado leveled much of the city, they are still searching for the missing. And they're saying goodbye as well, as today we saw the first of what will be many funerals. The number of dead now stands at 132, and 157 people are still unaccounted for. Ben Tracy is in Joplin. Ben, good evening.
Good evening, Harry. Much of Joplin tonight still looks like a war zone. Streets like this completely impassable. And then take a look at this. The second story of this home was sucked right into the street by the storm. But of course, the biggest toll here is still human, and many families who are still waiting for news of their loved ones are finding that wait unbearable.
I just wanted to at least hand it out, you know.
All the Hayward family can do now is wait.
She was missing since the tornado?
Yeah.
For 5 days, Robert, Caleb, and their 14-year-old sister Christina have been looking for this woman. Her name is Deanne. She's their mom.
What's it like not to have your mom at home?
Kind of different.
Really different, I would imagine.
Yeah.
What do you miss?
Her laughing. Like, she always makes us laugh.
Just before the twister tore through Joplin, Deanne went to town to pick up Sunday dinner at this Pizza Hut.
They were gonna have a graduation party for my brother, and so she went to go get pizza and she never came home.
How did you feel when she didn't come home?
Kind of scared.
We were thinking maybe she had to stop and get out of her car, maybe go to a shelter or something like that.
The kids have not found their mom, but they did find her car. This is it. The roof is gone, the headrest is missing, her seatbelt is still buckled, and there's a shoe on the dashboard. It's quite possible that she was literally sucked out of her car.
Well, we're gonna find her.
But the family has no idea if Deanne is still alive or one of the many unidentified dead. The authorities won't let people try to identify bodies in person. Instead, the Haywards had to submit DNA and dental records and wait.
They've had long enough. This has been days. They need to let people start bringing their family home.
Because you can't start to heal when you don't even know what you've lost.
We're just gonna stay strong, you know. What else can we do?
Tonight, the officials here are defending their process for identifying the dead. They say they have to be 100% accurate, and in some cases, the wait for DNA test results could take another 2 weeks. Harry.
Ben Tracy in Joplin tonight. Thanks. Nearly 2 years ago, Air France Flight 447 mysteriously crashed in the Atlantic, killing 228 people. Now, with the flight recorders finally recovered from the ocean floor, we know more about what happened in the final harrowing moments of that Rio to Paris flight. Here's Nancy Cordes.
The plane's black boxes reveal that the Air France pilots, faced with conflicting speed readings, didn't know whether to speed up or slow down. At 11:10 p.m., the Airbus A330 was heading into a powerful storm 700 miles off the coast of Brazil when the autopilot disengaged and the plane began to roll to the right. The cockpit displays showed inconsistent speed readings, a sign that the external speed sensors, called pitot tubes, were malfunctioning or perhaps had iced over. "I have the controls," called one of the plane's two co-pilots. A stall warning went off, and he climbed briefly before pointing the nose down to pick up some speed. Then he leveled out and began to climb a bit, perhaps not realizing he was still going too slow. That triggered a second stall warning. But instead of pointing the nose back down, he continued to pull up.
The aircraft begins to roll. It begins to go from one side to the other side.
Mark Rosenker was chairman of the NTSB when the plane crashed in June 2009.
What we've seen in this cockpit voice recorder is two pilots extremely confused about what's happening on their flight deck, what's happening to their instrumentation.
It was now a minute and a half into the crisis, and the captain, who had been on a scheduled rest break, made it back into the cockpit. 20 seconds later, the co-pilot flying the plane said, "I don't have any more indications," most likely referring to speed readings. "We have no valid indications," confirmed the other co-pilot. As it pitched and rolled, the plane slowed even more and stalled, falling from 5 miles up for 3.5 minutes at a rate of 10,000 feet per minute, slamming belly first into the Atlantic. What would those 3.5 minutes have been like for the pilots and for the passengers?
Horrific is the only way to describe it. The aircraft was rolling. The aircraft was descending at a high rate of speed, tremendous G-force. It was horrific.
The last recorded speed right before impact was just over 120 miles per hour. A jet of this size cruising at altitude should have been flying at more than 500 miles an hour. Harry?
Nancy, are officials in Brazil assigning blame?
Well, officials in Brazil and in France, where this investigation is taking place, say all of it is to blame. The faulty pitot tubes, which have now been replaced on all Air France jets, and also the actions of the pilot. They'll also be taking a look at the training of the pilots. Were they trained to deal with a stall in these kinds of situations? This investigation is going to be going on for about another year, Harry.
Nancy Cordes in Washington, thanks. The relationship between the United States and Pakistan has been strained, to say the least, since U.S. forces raided Osama bin Laden's compound without the knowledge of the Pakistani government. Today, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton made an unannounced visit to Pakistan. More on that from Chief White House correspondent Chip Reed, who's traveling with the president in Poland.
After what appeared to be a tense meeting with the leaders of Pakistan, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton did not mince words.
For the past decade, many of the world's most vicious terrorists, including al-Qaeda's most important leaders, have been living in Pakistan.
Flanked by Admiral Mike Mullen, her frustration with Pakistan was clear, but at the same time, she called this meeting a turning point.
And we look to the government of Pakistan to take decisive steps in the days ahead. Joint action against al-Qaeda and its affiliates will make.
She did not specify the decisive steps needed, but analyst Juan Zarate says some action is necessary.
Well, any step taken, publicly or even privately, to demonstrate cooperation between the United States and Pakistan is very important at this point. Symbolism matters, especially when there is a crisis moment in a relationship.
This crisis moment is about trust. U.S. officials believe some Pakistani officials knew where bin Laden was hiding, but Secretary Clinton gave the top leaders a pass.
There is absolutely no evidence that anyone at the highest levels of the Pakistani government knew that Osama bin Laden was living just miles from where we are today.
She noted that Pakistani President Zardari became emotional when he said if he had known, he would have gone after bin Laden because al-Qaeda was likely behind the assassination of his wife, former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. Asked if the meeting really was as tense as it looked, Secretary Clinton said no.
We were just waiting for the press to leave so we could actually begin our meeting. That was the only tension.
In a positive sign, Pakistan today allowed the CIA to search bin Laden's compound. A U.S. official says they did find some information, but it's too early to tell its value. Chip Reed, CBS News, Warsaw.
In Egypt, a familiar sight today, 3.5 months after forcing President Mubarak out of office, tens of thousands of protesters filled Cairo's Tahrir Square. The organizers called it a second revolution. They say change isn't coming fast enough and demanded that Mubarak be put on trial immediately for allegedly ordering police to shoot anti-government protesters. A judge in Belgrade today determined that Ratko Mladic is fit to be extradited to face a war crimes tribunal in The Hague for the massacre of thousands in Bosnia. His lawyer says Mladic is too sick to travel, claiming he had 3 strokes and 2 heart attacks while hiding for nearly 16 years before his arrest yesterday. Mladic was well enough today to make some demands, though, telling jail officials he wanted strawberries, Tolstoy novels, and a television. In this country, presidential politics. Mitt Romney is ready to run. Sarah Palin's ready to ride. CBS News political analyst John Dickerson is following it all. John, good evening.
Good evening, Harry. The slow-starting Republican race is picking up. Mitt Romney will make it official in New Hampshire next week. Today, he was in Iowa. He said the president's policies have failed on the economy, which is his principal campaign message. The political question in Iowa is how hard will Romney campaign there? He hasn't been in the state in 7 months, and the high concentration of evangelical voters are not his natural constituency. He's got to strike a balance, campaign hard enough to avoid a big loss in the party's first contest, but not risk so much time and money that he neglects other states where he has a better chance.
Now, he was also asked about the House Budget Chairman Paul Ryan's Medicare plan. Did he endorse it?
Not exactly. The Ryan plan offers those on Medicare a fixed amount to buy insurance. That's a major change, and it's become the first political puzzle for Republican candidates in this cycle. They have to show solidarity with Ryan and House Republicans without deeply committing themselves to something that might end up being politically unpopular. So Romney said he liked the general thrust of Ryan's plan, but wouldn't commit to it, saying only that he'll have his own plan for Medicare.
And Sarah Palin, of course, has shaken things up. She starts her bus tour over the weekend. How long can she keep people guessing?
Well, her spokesman says we shouldn't jump to any conclusions, but with this bus tour and now a new campaign-style video, she sure looks like she's a candidate. In theory, Palin can wait until the fall before she has to file formally to be on any ballot. Until then, she benefits in a way really that no other candidate does. She can push her ideas, test the support for her candidacy, and build her image without risking anything. When she does make her decision, it's likely to follow the Palin playbook. It will be a secret until it's announced.
John Dickerson in Washington tonight. Thank you. Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, is the bluefin tuna an endangered species? What the government decided today. But up next, we go back to Greensburg, Kansas, 4 years after a tornado there destroyed 95% of the town. If the people of Joplin, Missouri are wondering what will become of their tornado-battered city, they might well find inspiration across the border in Kansas. 4 years ago, a massive tornado nearly wiped the city of Greensburg off the map. 11 people were killed and the community was in ruins. But today, Cynthia Bauer shows us a Greensburg that has been rebuilt and reinvented.
Oh my God.
The house where Jill Eller raised her family disappeared in the blink of an eye 4 years ago.
This thing is huge. It has to be a mile across.
When an EF5 tornado chainsawed through Greensburg, Kansas.
How do you start?
Like almost all her neighbors, at first Jill couldn't imagine life there after the storm.
Just total devastation. I mean, it was some kind of shock that your body goes into.
But when it would have been easier to walk away from a town where 95% of the buildings were gone, Jill Eller and her neighbors decided to rebuild. It seemed impossible.
I think we learned early on to say we're not victims, we are survivors.
After 4 years and $78 million in disaster relief grants, Greensburg is coming back. The new school opened last fall, the new hospital this March. There's a new city hall, arts center, and a whole new downtown business district, all built to be energy efficient and tornado resistant, turning Greensburg into one of the greenest and most tornado-proof places in the country.
Hiya, Pam.
Mayor Bob Dixon, who lost his house too, says Greensburg has a clear message to send Joplin.
There really is hope, even in the darkest days, those first few weeks of all you see is rubble and wonder what's going to happen. We from Greensburg want to say, never give up hope.
Jill and Scott Eller moved forward by building a new eco-friendly home designed to withstand another monster tornado. And next week, this town that understands the need so well plans to send a relief convoy to Joplin. Jill helped organize the effort and had planned to go, but now she's not so sure.
It's not that I don't want to help, but this is the best way I can because I don't think I can be there right now.
It's still too fresh?
It's too fresh.
Because even after 4 years, some wounds have not healed. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Greensburg, Kansas.
Up in space today, NASA astronauts took the 50-foot robot arm from the shuttle Endeavour and placed it in its new home on the side of the International Space Station. With that, construction of the American segment of the station is now complete after 12 years and more than 1,000 hours of spacewalks. Off the coast of North Carolina, it was the catch of the day. An anchor from Blackbeard's pirate ship was brought to the surface. It's 11 feet long and weighs nearly 1.5 tons. It was one of 3 anchors from the Queen Anne's Revenge, which sank nearly 300 years ago near Beaufort Inlet. Coming up next, bluefin tuna. The population is way down. Should it be on the endangered list? NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is the government agency tasked with monitoring everything from climate change and weather to keeping an eye on coastal and marine life. Today, it made a big decision about one of the most majestic fish in the sea. And not everyone is pleased. More now from national correspondent Jim Axelrod.
It is the most prized tuna species on the market, highly sought by master sushi chefs in Japan and the world over. In January, a single bluefin tuna sold for just under $400,000. The bluefin's popularity grew troubling in recent years as the fish was harvested faster than it could reproduce. Numbers have started to dramatically decline. Today's bluefin population is just a third of what it was in 1970. And yet today, NOAA announced the shrinking supply was not critical enough to label it an endangered species.
We have concerns regarding the status and threats to the species, but that we don't have sufficient information to warrant a listing as endangered.
There are 2 stocks of Atlantic bluefin. The eastern Atlantic, which migrates annually from the Mediterranean across the Atlantic and into U.S. waters, and the western Atlantic, which spawns mostly in the Gulf of Mexico. That stock may have been severely impacted by the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. While the data is not yet available to confirm, clearly 40 years of overfishing has decimated both stocks.
The bluefin tuna is the poster child for overfishing globally.
Mike Sutton of the watchdog group Seafood Watch says NOAA is making a big mistake by not declaring the bluefin an endangered species.
Consumers can help by avoiding bluefin tuna. Don't buy it if you see it on the menu. Don't buy it on the ports. It's overfished. We need to give that species a break so it can recover.
In fact, NOAA believes the enforcement of new international quotas, plus more agents on boats to monitor catches, will stop the decline of the bluefin population and could one day reverse it. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, New York.
Many Americans are heading out of town for the Memorial Day weekend. AAA estimates that 35 million of us will travel 50 miles or more. That's up slightly from last year and perhaps a bit surprising considering gas prices are more than $1 higher than last Memorial Day. Jeff Conaway was a rising star in the 1970s, appearing in the stage and film versions of Grease, and then as the aspiring actor Bobby Wheeler in the TV sitcom Taxi. More recently, on Celebrity Rehab, he went very public with his battle with drugs and alcohol. Conaway, who'd been in a coma for 2 weeks after reportedly overdosing on drugs, died today. He was 60 years old. Now a correction. Earlier this month, we reported on food manufacturers shrinking their products to avoid having to increase their price. We cited regular Yoplait yogurt as an example. That was an error. Its maker, General Mills, has not reduced its size. Coming up next, the survivor's spirit, alive and well in Joplin. President Obama will visit Joplin, Missouri on Sunday to survey the tornado damage, but as we saw in Greensburg, Kansas, the recovery will take years. Crews are still clearing the debris in Birmingham, Alabama, 1 month after a deadly tornado there. 58 people from across that state are still living in a shelter. So the people of Joplin have a long, hard road ahead of them as they rebuild, maybe even harder than they imagine.
God, I am so happy to see you.
Once the rain stopped in Joplin, Missouri, there was a certain energy in many neighborhoods. Chainsaws were ripping into fallen trees. Heavy equipment was moving mountains of debris. The people of the Show Me State were showing us
How about that?
they weren't going to take Sunday night's tornado lying down.
Are you just putting these in the truck, Mom?
They showed us they were game to reclaim their homes and neighborhoods.
You know, we're pretty resilient people. We will bounce back.
But hundreds and hundreds of homes are uninhabitable. What happens when the welcome at the in-laws wears out? What happens when the insurance check doesn't match expectations? What happens if the government's red tape leaves you feeling like you've been tied in knots? In the months and even years after Katrina, many of the residents were sure they'd experienced post-traumatic shock. People whose lives have been put through a ringer deserve better. That's the CBS Evening News. I'm Harry Smith. Thanks for joining us. And as America's fallen heroes are honored at Arlington National Cemetery this Memorial Day, remember them and have a safe holiday weekend.